So today, I'm going to be, as you can see, talking about beginning a speech. And the Better Speaker series is one of the prepared slideshows that Toastmasters International asks members to present. It helps both the members and it helps the presenter who does it. So it will help with offering instruction on basic speaking skills, and it's designed that way so that it can be ready to go. So I'm going to start off with letting you know that it's 10 to 15 minutes. So at 10 would be the green and 12 and a half. I'm starting. Okay, you got all that. Okay, awesome. Okay. So Nigel, can you see the screen?
Yes, I saw the screen there. I haven't seen any slides yet.
Perfect. Okay. All right, because sometimes it doesn't always work. So where is it starting? Okay, well, I'll just do it like this. So as you can tell with a speech, it's very important to get the attention of people, to engage them, and to introduce your topic and establish a rapport, right? And that they mentioned here that it should only take 10% of the time that you are doing your speech. Okay. We're going to try this out after, but here's one opening technique. State what's important about your topic. Okay. Tell your listeners why the topic is important to them, not just because it's important to you, but why it's important to them. In this particular presentation, why the speech needs to be strong at the beginning is to make sure that people just don't stop and start looking at their phone, or they miss everything that you're going to tell them at the beginning, because it will set the stage. Here's an example of making a startling statement. Smoking kills. More Canadians die each year than are killed in battle during World War II and Vietnam together. That's kind of the startling speech. I heard a commercial the other day on TV. They were talking about immunizations and the probability of whether you would get certain things like measles, 1 in 100, or of course it's higher in Alberta. 1 in 10 will get this and that. And then they said shingles is 1 in 3. And I was like, holy crow, 1 in 3 people will get shingles in their lifetime. And I was like, yeah, maybe I should get immunized. So a shocking statement or a statistic can get your attention. Speak up a little bit here. You could also arouse the suspense or curiosity. Use a series of statements related to pique the learner's interest. So I was messing around with the speech topic that I had, and I thought I would try this opening with, it wasn't for a lack of caring. It wasn't that I didn't appreciate the craftsmanship. It wasn't that my identity seemed to be tied to the item. I lost what my daughter gave me. So, I mean, if I started off that way, then you'd be wondering what's she talking about, right? So it's kind of like a suspenseful thing at the beginning. You tell a story. My brother and I went hunting last week in the woods behind my house. I'm going to give you an example of what I landed on when I was looking at this speech that I plan to do in the future. Who here hasn't lost something? Has anybody here not lost anything? We've all lost something, haven't we? Maybe it was a precious gift somebody gave you. Maybe it was something valuable you saved up for and were so excited to finally have it. Or maybe it was something small but incredibly useful. You know, like that kind of thing that you realize you can't live without it if that disappears. Maybe it's your phone, maybe it's something else. Because a lot of people get upset when they lose their phone, don't they? Well, just a few days ago, I had one of those moments. My daughter gave me a pair of handmade earrings. And it wasn't even half a day before I lost them. Now, this is something that carries a lot more depth to it than, just wire and beads. Because, why? Well, because she gave it to me. And also, it was colors that were carefully chosen. The design was thoughtfully put together. And I was proud to wear them. So, of course, I put them on right away. And I went out to walk my dog. Then, when I went to admire them, one was missing. Oh, no earring, no clasps, just ear. And somewhere between point A and B, I managed to lose the very thing I was so excited to wear. That's when the obsession began. But today, I'm not going to be talking about earrings. I'm going to talk about how quickly something meaningful can slip away. How we react in those moments when it does, and what small and unexpected losses can quietly teach us along the way. So if I did that kind of opening, would that grab your attention? Maybe, eh? Then other things that people have used is a quote. They have quoted somebody that is relatable to what you're talking about. They're talking about. Or maybe you can think of a question for your next speech. So actually, right now, I would like you to, at the bottom where there's some space in your agenda, write down a question of what you might start with if you were writing a speech. Maybe if you're new, it would be your icebreaker. A question about something that we would want to know about. It's a great way to start a speech. Write down a question. Hey, who wants to share one? Would you like to share one, Spencer?
I think you would pick me. The question I wrote down is the USA a place you'd like to visit.
Okay. All right, loaded question, really. Okay, so starting off the speech that way might be, the beginning of what he's going to, what angle he's going to take. Anybody else want to share a question that they can face?
Yeah. What will you do in the first 24 hours after finding out you just won $80 million lottery?
Nice. That's a good start too. And you probably heard something like that on TV too, right? Like it's kind of like a mystery thing. What's going to happen in the first 24 hours? Yeah, I like that. Anybody else want to share one more? Yes, Deb.
What kind of freedom you actually have?
Okay, again, it's an open question. You've got room there to be able to tell us what angle you're going to take. Okay, so a rhetorical question. We talked about that. Okay. How are we doing for time here? Okay. So the opening techniques then are, another opening technique would be to reference the occasion. So in other words, maybe you're going to talk about St. Patrick's Day and you have a picture or something and you look at that reference and you talk about, I actually saw a picture today on the opening screen that I was looking at, and it was a picture of like a stone circle. And it was talking about that St. Patrick didn't actually, he wasn't there, he didn't live there, but it had spiritual meaning and all of these things. So when you start with something that has a reference, then people can start picturing in their mind what you're going to talk about. It allows the speaker to recognize an unusual or important event and establish a common interest with the audience. Okay. Other techniques are to add humor or involve the audience, like I did, or have a demonstration, or to reference an historical event. And then not only that, but now we can talk about what not to do. So avoid these kind of things, avoid acknowledging the amount of preparation you've gone to get ready for that speech, avoid being dull or boring, avoid delaying mentioning the topic. So that technique about the mystery and the suspense might not be too good if we're waiting too long to reveal what it is we're talking about. Be careful of that because you could lose people. So a dynamic beginning is essential for a successful speech. And you'll also learn that you want to not only have that dynamic part of it, but you also want to include an outline of what you're going to talk about in the opening. So it's not kind of complete what we're talking about. It's just like the beginning part. There's more to the opening that you would want to set up. Grab the attention of your listeners. That is where it's at. Back to you now. Let's turn this up.